So former U.S. President Donald Trump has survived an alleged assassination attempt. Trump was addressing a political rally in Pennsylvania when shots rang out from the crowd. A bullet grazed his right ear before the suspected shooter was gunned down by the Secret Service. Trump has since received medical attention and is doing well. But let's get reaction to this. And for that, we're joined by international relations expert, Dr. Kingsley Makhubela. Dr. Makhubela, good morning to you. I mean, it's quite the image, right, that hit us across our feeds this morning of Trump with a bloodied ear. Your initial reaction?
Good morning, Naledi. Just unfortunate to see this kind of behavior in the United States. It really has serious repercussions across the board. Fortunately, he survived this. This is only 2 days before the Republican convention in Milwaukee, in Wisconsin. It would definitely change the scripting of that convention. So there will be much more focus around domestic issues.
Yeah. I'm quite interested in what this does, though, for the road towards the election, right? And certainly the campaign run by Donald Trump. What an incident like this does for his campaign. Does it embolden him or not?
Well, from the footage that we all saw, he's very defiant. He raised his right hand in defiance of the attempted assassination. So you are likely to see a very buoyant Donald Trump would come out to say he's defied any attempt to arrest him, to prevent him from running for the White House. It will change the message, even though there's a unanimous message that is starting to emerge, Naledi, that says this kind of behavior, it's not acceptable in democracy. And I hope they don't only refer to liberal democracy, they refer across any form of democratic institutions, that the attempt to assassinate political contenders must be condemned with all the energies that they have. But I think when Donald Trump is quite buoyant, it's going to change the behavior tomorrow in Wisconsin at the convention of the Republican Party. And there will be a celebratory mood that he survived this assassination and he survived an attempt to prevent him to reach the White House.
Yeah, you know, if you've been watching Twitter, certainly today, you'd see, you know, what the conversation has become. And it's really quite interesting, right? You've got Donald Trump Jr., of course, tweeting, "We'll never stop fighting to save America." But a little bit earlier on as well, he tweeted, "Someone attempted to assassinate my father tonight." And this is what, for instance, the CNN is focused on, feeling that there is some concern raised around just how legitimate this assassination on his father would have been. What do you make of that debate where there seems to be a debate about whether or not this assassination was legitimate?
You know, now that you're going to see all sorts of conspiracy theories emerging, this was unfortunate. I don't think there's anyone who can stage this kind of an assassination. And of course, it plays into the far-right elements within the Republicans who have been speaking about the deep state, that the deep state is hell-bent on preventing Donald Trump from reaching the White House. But I don't think any state institution will behave in this manner. I still think it's a behavior of a lunatic. The situation in the United States is so porous, so toxic, that it gives grounds for this kind of behavior. It's not the first time. In 1912, Roosevelt was paralyzed because of this. 1972, Wallace was also paralyzed as a candidate. Robert Kennedy was assassinated. So there's some form of level of intolerance that goes with the campaign in the United States, and particularly the far right, because most of the attempts have been made against the Democratic Party. It's only now that you're seeing a target being the Republican. Of course, Ronald Reagan, there was an attempt on him. He came from the center-right. So this behavior, it goes, Naledi, with a very toxic political environment that we see in the United States now.
Yeah, got top of the trends list this morning, "God bless President Trump." That's what's happening on social media. And I'm quite interested in, I mean, you make the point right there, Dr. Makhubela, that you don't believe that this would be the actions of a political force, that this is a sole individual who acted alone. And of course, we've got the name of that individual, a 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, who was shot and killed by the Secret Service just moments after that shot was fired by him towards the former president. But considering that your view is that it is a lone actor, not a political force, what is the voice that at a moment like this needs to be coming out of the Democrats, particularly, and perhaps even Joe Biden himself?
You know, the catch-22 for the Democrats, Naledi, you remember the Democrats have been campaigning on this anti-gun law that the RNA in the United States, which supports the Republicans, has been hell-bent on it. They are in a catch-22 that they are unable to say, well, we've told you about the gun laws and the control, because once they start saying that, they're going to build on the momentum of sympathy for Donald Trump during this campaign. And of course, strategies in the Republicans would be naive not to want to leverage on this for their political needs. But the Democrats are in a tight corner, really, to start speaking about the anti-gun law when a presidential contender has been had during an attempt to assassinate him. Because once they do that, they would really add more to the advantage of Donald Trump.
Well, you've got to see, obviously, the still images. I mean, and we're obviously running some of the visuals from that moment after that shot was fired. But even just the still images of a Donald Trump with blood on one side of his face, very, very strong images, or images that really one can't forget. What do you think those images do for the electorate in the U.S.? Do you think that they sway the voter?
They will definitely sway the voters. There will be a lot of sympathy vote for Donald Trump. Remember, this is the presidential contender who's been hauled before the courts, and he's won some, he's lost some, and he's built a narrative that is a victim of this deep state that really runs Washington, and particularly with the problem that we're all seeing about President Biden, that he appears not to be in all his senses. So the view is that there's a deep state that runs the state and that really doesn't want Donald Trump. So, and this resentment towards the state would continue to build. And remember, Donald Trump comes into this race as an outsider. He has always been very critical of the inside people like Biden and so on. So he is likely to get a big wave from this.